Hello my fellow Shikans, my name is Commander Eric Terramullins, and today we're going to be checking out Azur Lane's figure by Alice Glint. This is 1/7 Noshiro Hold the Ice version. This version is sporting a super cute maid cafe uniform, while her standard outfit looks a little more something like this. Love the rigging, I love the design, and the cold demeanor of that character is just your kind of classic for Japanese characters. But throughout the years, Azur Lane has been releasing costume upon costume for this character, and each one just seems like a lovely evolution to this character's growth. This one in particular is a prime example. If you'd like to see my unboxing and a quick overview of this figure, I made a short. You can always check the link in my description below. Starting with her base plate, oh my goodness, thank you so much, Alice Glint. I feel like I'm speechless. To go from this to this, like, this is gorgeous. The base itself has a beautiful black border around it, which makes it feel much more premium, while we have a lovely tiled wood floor at the top, an excellent use of textures, and the paintwork, while not 100% precise, is really phenomenal and does an excellent job, especially from a shelf, at conveying what it wants you to think it is. Like perhaps the wooden floors you'd find at a maid cafe. Underneath the base, you can see that this thing is not completely hollowed out. It actually jutes out and gives us a bit of thickness. Though it is still rather lightweight, it's not too big and doesn't overstay its welcome. It does a great job at boxing the character inwards, where even the strands of her hairs don't go too far outside this circular base plate, making her excellent at placing almost anywhere. There are two chunks of transparent plastic with a metallic peg going through that slides up into her heels. And with how close her 2 feet are together, this is good. Personally, I'm sure they could have gotten away with just one of them, but I'm not going to complain about making her more sturdy, and though she does wobble, it never feels like she's ever going to come undone, fall over, or anything like that. The shoes are super cute. We have this beautiful pearlized white, nice little heart decoupage motif. Her feet really do look like they're going into these shoes, so there's no weird beveling of the skin going on. And we have these lovely little ankle tie buckles that apparently serve no purpose whatsoever other than to look cute with her overall costume. I don't know why, but I always thought that these things would be plugged in along the back of her ankles and connecting to the shoe. That's usually how that works, right? Regardless, it doesn't need to make too much sense considering her source material being a World War II waifu girl anthropomorphized boat. And just look at that initial boat design. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. I would like to see a little bit of the rigging design attached onto her, maybe some things holding coffee, snacks, no ice, but I'm not going to talk about it too much because that doesn't have so much to do with this figure. It has more to do with the initial design of the character for the video game. If she did have rigging, it would have been more expensive. It also would have taken away a little bit of the flair and charm that this whole entire costume has as a whole. She's wearing some nice thigh highs that have, get this, gloss to it. You're gonna be hearing me go on about all these different textures on this figure, but it's the sort of thing I really love. It's what you find in higher end figures most of the time when they do a good job, and it's something that I felt like Alice Glint was severely lacking with some of their other figures, is that really nice balance of different type of textures to make other ones pop just a little nicer. And they did a very good job in that regard with this figure. The sculpt work is very nice, and the paint applications are okay. It doesn't feel like smooth gradients getting darker into certain key areas. It just more or less feels like they blotched on the gradients, and these aspects are very sudden and aggressive. So from up close, it doesn't look 100%, but from a shelf, it does look really good, and it makes the right parts you want to see pop out. As these things end, you can see that they're tightly around her skin as her skin slightly bevels outwards. The skin is done in a soft matte and is extremely well sculpted with minor amounts of shading here and there. She's wearing a garter belt, because what respecting spicy maid cafe wouldn't be wearing one? I honestly don't know. I literally went to Japan and I never went to a maid cafe. I know, I disappoint myself sometimes. Gives me a reason to go back. We have these cute metallic hearts that go up into a beautiful dark black gloss that are nicely indented into her skin as they go up and into her waist. Now hold up, y'all. I know that from the front this figure looks extremely cute and adorable, but we're about to make this real spicy up in here, so you've been warned. As you can see them going up from the back, she has an expertly sculpted behind, with her underpants being strongly indented into her skin. The line that we get going from underneath all the way to the front is better than most things I see on figures. They tend to make them really thick, weird, oddly angled, blotchy, almost as if the sculptor wanted to do too much and they get lost in the details. This is perfection in its simplicity. Where we then get to the front of these underpants, which have a low-cut, gorgeous design, upside down heart decoupage. What the heck, Noshiro? Whew, my goodness. Okay, And that's it for the spiciness. The rest of this figure is adorable for the most part. Her apron along the front is so cute. I really love the sculpt work that we get for the folds and stretches in the fabric. The plastic decoupage hearts that we get going along the front are well sculpted and decently painted, as they connect into these larger hearts around the side of her ribcage, complete with metallic grommets and a long laced bow attached using a different plastic that's put on top and one that is semi-gloss. This is beautiful. It makes it stand out differently from the rest of the textures used for her clothing, which is Alice Glint just hitting it out of the park on this. Really nice. Meanwhile, in the back underside of her dress, skirt, maid uniform, you have these super cute little white kerfuffles where they put in so much work on that sculpt work that this figure would be deserving of that mirror you're holding behind it on an angle for her. For any of you people that do that sort of thing, I'm not judging. They would put so much detail there if they weren't expecting some of you to do this. As we get into the darker part of her dress up on top, which is so expertly sculpted and has this super cute little cutout trim going along the center of it, done with a different type of matte texture and a darker black. It does a good job at making the black on black pop just a little bit better. As we slowly go up into the center of her back, and they have this beautiful, large, white, poofy bow. The bow is nicely sculpted, comes off as a somewhat semi-gloss, it has a little bit of shading on it here and there, but not that much to write home about. Personally, I think it's nice, it does the job, but I don't think it's as pretty as it could have been. Especially the main knot that we have attached in the center of this bow. Well sculpted as it is, the whole thing just looks like it's one big chunk. It would have been nice to have a deeper groove in here so that way it looks like it's going into this knot, or if the knot bubbled out just a bit more, that would have made everything look a little cuter and bouncier, and that really would have helped complement the overall design that Noshiro here has. Also, as we stare at the center of this thing, it doesn't go in completely, everything kind of bevels out in a way that seems thick. Digging in this seam significantly more would have done a nicer job at really conveying the fact that this is a bow. But I am nitpicking, it still is very lovely, and from a shelf it's not something you're really going to notice. As we go up to the chest portion of her dress, which is very simplistic, well sculpted, and also mildly spicy. However, the fact that the front of her chest is a little bit spicy like this with these points, it coincidentally does an excellent job at making the light reflect around it so that the shaping just looks really good. In the center of her chest, we have these cute little heart motifs that go upwards and into her neck collar. The neck collar looks really nice. Not a lot of shading here, but not a lot needed. Though I would say that the tie piece around the top of her neck should have been a little poofier and larger. Nitpicking, but this figure wasn't cheap, so I have the right to nitpick just a little bit. As for her chest, it is extremely well sculpted. The way that the clothing of hers is designed is that her skin isn't actually pushed up against a thick chunk of plastic, she's actually wearing this clothing. And I've seen a couple of pictures online kicking around that actually show people that have removed the front, her anatomy is all there. But this is a risk I'm not willing to take. Even though I love this channel and I love doing my in-depth reviews, I don't want to necessarily break something to find out if it's spicier than I would have thought. Incidentally and coincidentally, I might just plug in right now that maybe checking out the My Figure webpage, because there are quite a few pictures of her in other people's collections, and there you might find all of the photos you might be looking for. And I'm not 100% it's always legit. AI just ruins everything for everyone now. What's real? What's real? I'm real. You can trust me. Her back is so gorgeous. I love the sculpt work quite a bit. Very faint shading here and there. As it goes up into her cute, more solid shoulders than I would have expected for this character. I thought it would have been a lot sharper edges, look more delicate, but this is a lot rounder. I'm not going to complain about this because it works with the overall roundness that we get in this figure as a whole. There are these cute little bicep poofs that, for the life of me, I don't know how people keep these things on. They're always created in so many different anime and manga. Looks cute and it looks pretty. I assume there's just massive amounts of double-sided tape to hold them there. You cosplayers know what's up. Yeah, and I'm sure it's that. It's like a skin-type tape that you can put on. And what's crazy is, even though I'm here, like, going on about this, my own comic manga characters in Blithe actually have this in their school uniforms, too. So, but I'd like to just mention that my characters from my own manga, their clothing is all associated to their neck collars, and everything they're wearing is just energy that's reformatted based off of what the neck collar is programmed to have. Am I going off topic? I'm going off topic. I love how the skin cuts in towards the elbow. Beautifully defining line. As it goes up into her wrist with an awesomely glossed accessory. This thing is a mix between sculpted directly on the figure and sculpted pieces added after the fact, and it's very seamlessly done. Her hand looks okay. I would almost say it's ever so slightly off, as the outside palm just seems a little too bubbly and large, but from a shelf, it's really not that bad, as it goes up into her fingers, which are expertly sculpted, and gorgeous gloss on her pink nail polish. Her left arm is interesting, because of the fact that her shoulder is dipping downwards on this side, and she doesn't have an accessory around her wrist. It almost seems like it's a little longer, but through the power of science and measurements, it's not. It's the right size it's supposed to be. Her fingers here are expertly done as well, and she's holding on to this notepad. We don't know how good she is at the whole maid cafe thing, considering she can't memorize everybody's order off the top of her head, like a super professional. One could make the debate that she's carrying this notepad to make it look like she's a newer person that doesn't know this sort of thing, because that's a gimmick. People like that. There are different maids for different types of people. I'm going off topic. The notepad has all this super cute writing, and it's in English. I can't help but wonder if this figure was released in China or in Japan, if that writing is written in their language. But it's pretty cool to have it in English here. And like her name suggests on this, we have all sorts of things indicating light ice within their order, including the iced coffee with... It's funny, and it's an excellent touch for this character and this figure's alternate costume's namesake. Her neck goes perfectly into the collar, which is to be expected. The neck itself goes up and comes out somewhat a bit like a funnel. It's really not too bad here, and it's not as noticeable as it was with Rune. Knowing that they were going to be showing her ears off on this figure, you can tell that they definitely put the time and effort into making these look good. Her face is so cute, very well rounded, but with sharp little features that accent the overall round and sharpness of this whole entire character design. You get a very mild amount of blush on her cheeks, some gloss for her lips, and a darker, warmer color surrounding the inside of her mouth where you can kind of see her teeth. It's excellent, and it looks even better from a shelf. It's very well done. The eyes themselves are beautiful. I love the decals that they used with the warmer hints surrounding the white circular reflections. However, like with every figure, one of my complaints on the eyes is that when it's just a matte color like this, it just kind of looks like a sticker. It is really pretty. It looks really good. But if this was ever so slightly glossed just over the eyeball, I think that would have looked perfect. Eyebrows are decaled as well, and this face goes all the way up and into these amazingly semi-gloss horns. Gorgeous red gradient along the top. These Oni horns really do an excellent job at selling you on this monster girl figure. It's really cool. I would just say she's missing an epically large tail coming out the back of this dress, but that's just my personal preference and has nothing to do with Noshiro from Azur Lane. Her hair is multiple chunks placked on to the top of her head, and this works really well in Alice Glint's favor because it's a lot easier to work with this than having a removable face with multiple strands you have to work with after the fact. The carving on the sculpt here is dug in very deep, to the point where you can see some of the connecting pieces here and there, but for the most part, they're very well hidden. And they add one major distraction that many other figures don't have, and that's hair reflection. Right off the bat, it's something I love to see on anime figures. It just makes it feel more like the anime or the video game you're playing, that nice shine that goes across the front of their head. This character doesn't have it to that extent, but they actually have a reflective blue, which is so pretty. I would like to see this on many other figures. You're definitely onto something here, Alice Glint. Don't stop doing this sort of thing with the hair. This is just phenomenal. The back of her head is nicely sculpted. I would have maybe liked to see a little bit more highlights here. It seems kind of flat, but the way that it cuts out from the bottom of her neck to how everything doesn't pull in a perfectly centered line towards her two twin tails is really well done. The twin tails themselves look really good. I'd say the left one is nicer than the right one. My only complaint with the right one is this tiny little piece of plastic that you can see was glued up into here to create one of the strands. This seemed really pointless to me. I feel like you could have gone without this completely, or maybe had it kind of push up and underneath one of her strands that are coming up here. We have lovely little metallic whites for the band, which is a nice callback to her shoes. And finishing up this incredibly adorable maid cafe Noshiro, we have her hairband. The maid veil looks gorgeous, beautiful sculpting, lovely little hearts, nice use of different types of textures to be able to make things pop a little differently, and in contrast to the matte of her hair, it looks good from every single angle. And that is kind of it, Commanders. This figure looks good from almost every single angle. Why, if you put her on a rotating display, you're never going to be disappointed. You'll just be looking at her spin thinking, oh, that's so cute, and then being like, and then going back to, oh, that's so cute. She also comes with an alternate face. This face is... okay. Alright, so the face itself is not something I'm personally fond of. I really like her, excuse me, what was that last part? No ice in your iced coffee look. Having this faint smile, softer looking eyes, little bit of blush is cute. It's just not what I personally was looking for when I got this figure. But some of you out there are really gonna like this. With exception, of course, to the hair strand. What hair strand am I talking about? I didn't really mention hair strands when I was talking about her hair, because I was saving it for the end. She has a hair strand that flows over and goes over one of her fingers. She's kind of holding it up, and it pegs into this finger. It is nice. It's a great little personality trait thing that she has going on here. It looks good. It's well sculpted, and everything plugs in nicely. That is not the case with the extra head. The extra head, the hair here, doesn't push out as far. So if you would want this thing to go into that peg hole, the peg is not nearly strong enough to hold it. You're going to have to use a dab of modeler's glue to make sure it stays in there. And, you know, if you're doing that, then you might have to just leave this head in indefinitely. So you need to be really sure of your shot. It is nice that they gave us an entirely different head. I think that's kind of cool rather than just swappable faces. But this hair problem is really an issue. It makes it so that I'm never going to be using that head, unfortunately. Upon her release, this little maid cutie was going for 23,100 yen, which is okay. So like, it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap. But I would say that the amount of quality and work that they put into her isn't cheap either. Comparing her to the other Alice Glint figure that was going for 25,000 yen, this thing is significantly better. You can make the argument that maybe there's more plastics involved with this figure, but this base plate right here is freaking atrocious. This is a disgusting display of disgustingness, and do I prefer it over just a regular black base plate? I don't know, but we're not talking about this figure today. We're talking about this one, and this looks so good. For the price that you're getting her at, I would say, because I love this character so much, and I love this, that for me it's absolutely worth it. It's got the perfect amount of adorable cuteness and spice that I love in a figure, and it's all here. All the textures are here, the details are here. I have a few minor hiccups and gripes with little aspects here and there, but not enough for me to start pulling out the pitchforks and brigading against Alice Glint, kind of like I pushed with this one here. Though I would say in comparison to a few other 1-on-7 figures, she is a little bit on the larger side, especially considering Noshiro is kind of a smaller character in the franchise. But I'm not necessarily going to be placing her next to all my Azur Lane figures either. She is an awesome maid, and she'll just go in a detail or display that houses a lot of really cute maids. Do I have a lot of cute maid figures? I got a couple of them. Now, if you didn't want the extra faceplate or you got her outside of Amiami, she was a little bit cheaper, and for real, if you don't care about the extra faceplate, I'd say go for it. But I must say, Alice Glint really brought this figure home. I'm so impressed with the level of detail that's gone up in this figure in comparison to their older figures that I'm just really happy to see something like this. It's always great to see a figure company slowly making their way up. Maybe I would have put her more at like 18,000 yen. Personally, I think that 18 seems like a really good price for this, even though she's extremely well done, and I could definitely compare this to an alter figure. But it's not an alter figure. It's by Alice Glint. And Alice Glint, personally, I felt like they had something to prove, and they did a good job with this figure right here. So maybe in the future, they could lower their prices down a little more, get a couple more sales, build up their name a little bit better, and then afterwards they can kind of get away with charging higher price points for higher quality figures. So hopefully this helped you decide what side of the fence you are in getting her or not. If you like my video just a little bit, it doesn't cost much to support your love for maids and hit that like button. Speaking of supporting, why not support another commander and hit that subscribe? And if ever you feel like you're lost out in the fog, don't forget to ping that notification bell. This way you'll be notified and guided towards my future videos. Where do I come up with this? Comments are also amazing, so don't forget to make one. It really helps my channel grow. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hold the ice. Hold the ice. Iced coffee. Light ice. You know what's funny is that I have a thing where I drink tons of water. Like, I'm such a water person. I don't really drink anything else but tons and tons of water all day long. And I cannot stand ice. And I have some of my best friends that they'll literally have a glass full of ice and they'll just nope, not for me. So for real, like if I was at a maid cafe and a maid came up to me and asked me, would I like some water? I'll be like, yes, but no ice, please. I think every time I've ordered water for the past, I don't know how many years, I always tell them no ice. It's just, I'm just not a fan. Usually when I'm thirsty, I just like to drink what I have right away. And I think that's probably why I like water too, because when you're drinking something delicious like juice or you're having like a hot coffee or a tea, you have to take your time. You have to be patient. But I'm not patient. I'm thirsty and I just want to drink something right away. And if I drink something right away, then I can't. You know what? Why am I telling you this?